Good evening, all. I call to order the February 8th, 2016 work session of Swarthmore Borough Council. Councilman Murphy is excused this evening. I asked the mayor to introduce the next.
There are some things you get to do as mayor which are really wonderful. In this case, this is I think a wonderful occasion, but also one slightly bittersweet because it's about the change that occurred this year in the fire department. It's my pleasure tonight to give, or occasionally I give these out, they're volunteer service awards. And I give them out because volunteerism is the key to having a successful community like Swarthmore. Swarthmore wouldn't exist the way we know it without people who do things like fight fires for us, or serve on committees, or take care of the street trees, or the parks. It's the and part of that is because sometimes, very often, that kind of level of service is enjoyable. It's a good thing because you know you're doing something that affects not only yourself but your town and your surrounding towns and the communities that you live in. It's what we it's really kind of at the core of what we call community, and the reason why we like to live in a place like where we do. Tonight, there's a little story here. This award is going to Larry Luter, which is probably the worst kept secret. Larry just stepped down as president of the Swarthmore Fire Protective Association. He was president for 37 plus years, something like that.
You lose track after
So I'm just going to read this award that I'm going to call Larry up to say hi. So, Volunteer Service Award, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. The mayor, representing the grateful people of Swarthmore, recognizes and applauds the volunteer spirit and commitment of Larry Luter, whose extraordinary dedication and lifelong, literally lifelong, service to the Swarthmore Fire Protective Association is unparalleled. Larry joined as a teenager and served the residents of Swarthmore for over 48 years. In 1978, he became the president of the association, a position he held for 37-ish years. Larry's example is the epitome of community service and serves as a model for the volunteerism that's required if we want our town to be a vibrant and living community. A grateful borough is in your debt, Larry. Congratulations on your selfless and amazing career. You can say some words if you'd like.
Swing around.
Okay.
He gave you an order.
I said, yes, sir.
Pardon my passing. Talk to the audience as well. Excuse me. Thank you all. It's quite an honor to be here. It's an honor to be in Swarthmore, to tell you the truth. But when I get an award for me, as these guys know, I very seldom use the word me. It's usually we and us, and our group, and our fire department. And whenever council so graciously honors one of us, it honors me. At this occasion, you're honoring all of us. Every member here, every member that's not here. Because that sheds light on what we do for the community. And I know we do a lot of things that are out of the ordinary. 4th of July, Christmas tree sales, and the list goes on and on. But we do love for the community and to help the community grow and prosper. It's important to us that we do our job and everyone else will see that and hopefully come to us as new members or people to help us in other ways, other aspects of our association. As president in 1978, things were a little different. We have grown tremendously. We were originally more of a fraternal order, if you wish, and now we're business. Things just evolved that way, and the time and effort that it takes to run that business has changed our ways of operating and the means to get our business done and make it safe for the borough. One thing I might add, when I took fire school when I first joined in 1967, before I became president, it was a 40-hour course. Now it's 180, Chief? 180 hours. So think of that when you go to join an organization. It's one thing I want to join the Rotary, the Lions. They're great organizations. They have great individuals. They're very passionate. But they're not putting in the 180 hours training just to get on the fire truck. It's a different bird altogether. But it's a thing that's still happening. We have 4 very young members. I don't believe any of them are here tonight, but they are the latest group to come forth and join. 14, 15-year-olds. They can't do much, but until they get through the 180 hours of fire school. But it is a plus for us to have them with us, and a plus for the community to share their love of the fire company with us. I'm not going to get into any more detail. You have a meeting to conduct, and I understand that, but I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of myself and my fellow firefighters for this honor and recognition. And you got a bunch more coming up in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. There's some, this gentleman, 40 years in the fire company. What else have we got here? How many?
All young guys.
Typing in the back.
I'm way in the back there. I do thank you all for honoring me and my fire company. Thank you, brother.
Married my son, Jonathan, and my daughter, Amy. My son is 51. My daughter is 48. My son graduated from Swarthmore High School in 1983, the last year of graduating class at Swarthmore High School. My daughter, Amy, graduated from Strathaven in 1986. Both of them, while in high school and went home while in college, were members of your company. Both of them remember it fondly. Both of them, to this day, displayed prominently in their homes, their helmets, as members of your company. One of my fond, scary memories was coming off the train one day, at the end of a day of work. As I was coming off the platform, a truck came around the corner, siren blaring, and there, hanging off the back of the truck, were my son and my daughter. It was a memorable, rewarding experience for them. At their age, to be taken in by all of you or your forebears into the company of firefighters. They treasure it, and if they were here today, they would thank you.
Just because you're not in uniform.
Bill, Titus. Bill Titus. Bill Titus, come on. Please come on.
You're gonna hold Larry.
Squeeze in right here.
Yeah, so you're seeing your balls on the driveway at 40, 80 miles an hour. Company 14.
Got it?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Returning to our agenda for the evening, we welcome public comment. Chief? Anybody who wishes to address us, please come forward, state your name and your street address.
Good evening, Council. Rick Lee, President of the Fire Company. This past Saturday evening, we had our annual banquet to honor our accomplishments in the year 2015. Some of you were able to attend. For those of you that were not able to attend, I just want to give you some of the statistics from 2015. We had a total of 269 fire calls. We had a total of 2,112 EMS shift hours. The total number of members responding to fires was 1,513, and we put in a total of, 1,504 hours for drills and meetings as well. We had our top 10 firefighters. Just going to give you the top one for firefighter was Mihal Figura, and in EMS was Mike Bailey Jr. Mike Bailey Jr. won the Richard D. Schoaf Award, which is an honor given to those who place the highest in both fire and EMS, and he was the person with the highest number of points in both fires and EMS, and so we thank Mike Bailey, who was here tonight, for his time and effort as well. We also give out service awards each year. If you're a college student and join your freshman year, you can earn a 4-year service award. The rest are done in 5-year increments. This year, Brad Morrissey and Tyler McCrone each hit 5 years. Joe and John Udima hit 5 years as well. Pat O'Rourke and Jessica Cunningham both hit 10 years, and myself, I hit 40 years. So thank you very much, and hopefully next year you'll all be able to attend. It's a wonderful time for us to honor our firefighters and get to break bread and have a good time with not only the police force and public works and borough council and all our surrounding firefighters as well.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. And again, congratulations on your election.
Thank you.
There's been distributed to us minutes of our meeting of January 11, 2016 and February 1st, 2016. Is there a motion for their adoption? So moved. And Lauren seconds?
Second,
Okay.
yes.
Any discussion, any corrections?
There's one correction in the minutes from February 1, second to Lauren's appointment of O'Hara Winsley was Mary Walk, not Mr. Murphy. And since he's not here, he can't.
Subject to that correction, all those in favor of approving the minutes as distributed and as corrected, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They are approved. A few matters that I raise as president. First, there's been some internal discussions about the committees to which various matters are referred, which don't necessarily on their face relate to the title of the committees to which they're referred. But to clarify, although in this case it's obvious, public safety handles all traffic issues generally. It has responsibility for the review that is taking place with respect to possible traffic calming actions that may be taken with respect to Yale Avenue. It will continue. It has to this point, it will continue to be responsible for handling parking issues generally, as indicated at the last meeting, because we have a request from merchants for a special permit arrangement that might be put in place for employees. Although public safety remains an overall charge, because that happens also to touch upon the charge of the General Government Committee. Between the two of them, they will work with the merchants to try to address those concerns. Mr. Murphy, is, who at the point in the past was chair of the Pedestrian Bicycle Task Force, has been responsible since that time, or more recently, in actions being taken, both with respect to the bicycle part of the report, which have taken place in the past, and present actions involving the construction of certain sidewalks and certain crossings. And he will continue as chair of Public Works, Parks and Recreation will have oversight responsibility for those and his committee for the benefit of council. I recall to you again that at our meeting of March 7th, I think it is, our work session, we're going to spend some time talking about the Aging in Place Task Force. And that has been made known to them, and so I expect representatives of that task force to be present. It's my hope at that meeting, in order to organize our own discussions, and I view this principally as a discussion among ourselves, though not necessarily with the task force, but we can use their presence for clarification if we need it. And so I sort of announced in advance that I'm going to take it sort of topic by topic and solicit comments rather than just some open-ended. So the first subject breakdown is social engagement and all the recommendations as to that and reactions individuals of us may have to that. Next, transportation and mobility, health and safety, housing, and planning and zoning. And my own view is that is particularly with respect to housing and planning and zoning that it could be regarded as most potentially long-lasting in effect if the recommendations were adopted. And so I think those merit attention because they will end up in our Planning and Zoning Committee and then with the Planning Commission. So my thought is that both should have our thoughts with respect to, preliminary thoughts with respect to the recommendations. It's also that it had been recommended to us that there be an implementation committee, that we fund a senior coordinator, and that we hire a professional consultant to assist the borough in updating the zoning code, presumably to implement the recommendations, which at the end of the day we have to decide whether to accept. And I'm not suggesting that any of those deliberations to accept or not accept recommendations will be necessarily made in March, but we have to move the ball forward. So I encourage members as they again review the recommendations and the report in support of the recommendations and some of the appendices to the report to have in mind and make notes of particular comments they may have so that we can have an informed discussion in March. I think given all the work that the task force gave to it, we deserve a thoughtful consideration by us of their recommendations and that we carry forward so that it just, the report just gather dust and have no effect. Next, I turn to the Environment Committee. Lauren?
Sure. I don't have a report this time, but I do want to, I move that we appoint Susan Kelly to continue to be the chair of the Environmental Advisory Council.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of Susan's appointment as chair of the EAC, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition. She is appointed a reappointment. She's certainly been diligent in that regard.
Yeah, she's doing a great job.
The Finance Committee, Michael.
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, let's go over the financial report for January. It's obviously a very abbreviated month as it relates to revenues, given that tax collection has not begun, so you can see there's a pretty big discrepancy in terms of revenues and expenditures, but that's not out of the norm as you look at last year's as well. And as typical, we do run down the cash balance, but there's nothing really of note unless there's any questions as it relates to the revenues and expenditures for the month of January. And we ended January with a fund balance of $105,453.
Okay.
Any questions about the financial report? Okay, now I'm going to move on to wire transfers and bills to pay. I just would comment that on page 7, you'll see the bill that we talked about in the last meeting. for $6,927.28. So we'll be approving it formally here, even though I think we've already done so in the past meetings. So I'd like to make a motion to approve wire transfers totaling $41,123.72 and bills to pay of $160,850.17.
Second.
I have a question, it's part of question, Jane, and for the benefit of our new members, on the first page of the open invoices, 1187, Animal Protection Board. If this is what I think it is, would you explain to our new members what it is?
We use the services of the Chester County SPCA. The Delaware County SPCA stopped taking animals 3-4 years ago. So Delaware County set up an association, the municipalities got together, set up an association, and we all have to pay a minimum fee each year in order to use the service. We actually get credit, the fee would be, we actually get credit if we don't send as many animals. I think this is maybe 5 animals, something like that. There's a fairly large processing fee if an animal actually ends up in the Chester County SPCA. So we get a credit if we don't use them all, and it rolls from year to year. We do make a really good effort. If the animal is picked up, we will assess the fee that we were charged to the animal's owner, as well as a fee that's allowed by our ordinances. But we're very lucky. We have very, very few animals that end up out there.
It was the case, Mary and Ross, several years ago, that when the SPCA in Delaware County sort of shut down, there was a great scurrying as to how that service might be provided going forward. The county at a certain point was going to do something, and then it didn't do something, and that this arrangement with Chester County is what eventuated as a result of the Delaware County SPCA's no longer taking animals.
The Delaware County SPCA became a no-kill shelter, and it is not possible for animal control to use a no-kill shelter.
We have a motion and a second.
David?
Yes, sir.
Before I...
Oh, sure. Okay, sure.
Because we're going to authorize this bill for the fire truck repair.
Yes.
And just a question occurred to me after the last meeting. We agreed to pay it, which is good. If I had a major repair in my car, I would look to see whether there's a warranty. So one question came to mind is, do these trucks have warranties at all? Or if the damage was caused by an accident or something, we might seek to recover it through insurance. So I was just curious, do we have insurance?
I'll be happy to answer that.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
can answer about the warranty, I'll answer about the insurance, because we pay for their
Right,
insurance.
correct. It is under warranty for the repair. The apparatus was over 5 years old, and one of the things that they suggested to us is that the steering wheel not be turned if the apparatus is not in motion. So whether you're backing up or going forward, and it's kind of, if you drive a 4-wheel drive car, sometimes you can kind of feel that because the aerial tower is so large, and we know to do this, and we have a lot more people driving now as employees, and so we've gone back to everybody and said, please do not pull up the front of the firehouse to back in and then turn the wheel to go, because you're putting too much stress on the power steering pumps. If you're moving, it's much easier, and that's what the manufacturers have come back to recommend us, and we have put that out as a blanket statement to all drivers to make sure, so that hopefully we will not just get 5 or 6 years out of these power steering pumps, we can get twice that.
Okay, so it's not reimbursed under the warranty?
No, it was out of warranty. That's how the apparatus is, yes.
And generally, what's the warranty on a fire truck? I don't know.
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
Our, both the police cars and the public works vehicles, we actually are able to purchase extended warranties, and we do that now as a matter of course for all of our vehicles. In the insurance, actually last month you paid a bill to the Delaware Valley Insurance Trust. This month you're paying a bill to the Delaware Valley Workers' Compensation Trust. And every month we pay a bill to the Delaware Valley Health Trust. It's a consortium of municipalities in Delaware Valley, very few from Delaware County, many from Montgomery, Chester, and Bucks County. And it is a group pooling for insurance purposes. We pay for, in addition, we cover automobile liability, crime policy, public officials liability, law enforcement liability, the vehicle coverage does include coverage for all fire department apparatus. So if there had been an accident, which has happened sometimes, we are immediately reimbursed. And once in a while, you'll see one of those coming through on the financial reports.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Any other questions or discussion on the bill list and wire transfers? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? No opposition, their payment is approved, transfer is approved. Again, I'm uncertain, and so this is the last time I will ever ask this question as to whether we in fact need to approve the financial report. The motion did not include the financial report. Is that something we should approve or not?
I think we customarily do, but there's no particular need to. We need to approve bills.
Right.
But as to what the balances are and what we've received, you're not approving is not going to change how much money came in or out. So.
Well, if we don't have to approve it, then we won't approve it. Streamlining our business decision.
All right, one last thing then from, we voted, correct?
We did.
Okay. We are having a finance committee meeting this month on the 22nd, and I would encourage those who have an interest. There's one particular topic, which is the potential for the public lights to be changed to LED, and so that will be discussed. That's the main topic of conversation, and while it falls in the finance committee, I think it in some way touches on a lot of other committees, so certainly everyone is welcome. Just want everyone to know, obviously we'll potentially bring something back to the larger group, but want people to be aware of that.
And Jane, why don't you explain the possible consortium buy-in? And having done that, I just want to say that it seems to me there are two issues here. One is a financial issue. Is if we're going to buy these, how do we do it, and what benefit accrues to the borough from having done so? And then the issue of, do people like LED streetlights? And if not, what is the alternative? And I certainly don't want a plebiscite in the town as to whether we should have LED streetlights, because everybody has different opinions about whether they like them or not. But Jane, by way of background, what option is provided to us if we choose to begin a process of replacing our streetlights that require replacement with LED streetlights?
The borough has about 500 streetlights. They were all at one time mercury vapor lights, and they are still a majority of mercury vapor lights. We have replaced about 50 lights with LED lights. We've also replaced a few of the mercury vapors which are no longer available with a light called high pressure sodium, which are the sort of orangey lights that you see around town. There has been a program put together by the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission to have municipalities, it's basically a wholesale buying program to convert wholesale to LED lights. And at no cost to the borough, they have put together a proposal of financing. There are probably over 100 municipalities that have participated in this program, and DVRPC is regional, so there are many municipalities that chose to participate. So they've come up with a proposal, various types of lights, installation, other benefits that are provided, and again, borrowing money, and they've come up with a payback period should the borough choose to do that. And that will all be discussed in the Finance Committee. They put together a proposal. They actually worked with a private, they contracted with a private firm to do that work. We're also, at that there's other things that the borough could do. This is again assuming that we're going to convert all of our lights to LEDs, which is to buy more slowly. We can replace 25 lights a year, 50 lights a year. There's no reason that all remaining 450 lights have to be done right now. But there might be some advantages to doing so. So those are what we're going to do. So that's sort of a financial decision. You can again look at the payback because there is a reduction in energy costs. Obviously, if you go to an LED, the wattage is really low. There is a fixed cost on each light. So when we pay every month a $5,000 bill to Pico for streetlights, 2/3 of that cost is fixed. That's not going to change whether you've got an incandescent bulb up there or an LED bulb. But that third falls drastically if you go to LED. So there's a lot of savings to be gained, obviously both in energy and therefore in money to convert to LEDs. I do agree with Dave Grove that there are some questions as to is this the right time to go wholesale into LED, and if we don't, what are other options to the borough, and do we want to pursue them? Options are somewhat more limited than they used to be because mercury vapor is no longer, I'm not even sure they're legal anymore. I think EPA has banned the sale of them, I guess because of the mercury. So.
It's probably not the lights, but their disposal may be the issue.
Yes.
And what it-
Well, actually, disposal is one of the issues that's discussed in this report because there is a cost to dispose. It's wrapped into the proposal that they've given to the borough. They're working on a very short time frame to decide if the borough wants to go to the next step with a more in-depth study. There's a cost associated with that, but a decision has to be made soon, like by the next council meeting. So that's why. And I just got the proposal. I knew that we were in a very short time. So we haven't lost any time, but we don't know any time to waste.
But I encourage members to, as they drive around at night, to look at the lights. I think there are a number of the LED lights on Riverview.
Right, that's about 5 years ago. The lights look a little different now. The Borough of Westchester has installed, they sort of piloted this program some time ago, and they're somewhat similar to us. You know, they have a downtown that looks like Swarthmore. They have homes that are close to the street like Swarthmore. I actually went on a tour as part of this program there to look at their lights. You can get a pretty good idea of what the lights would look like.
Yeah, the technology has changed so that the LED lights you can purchase today are much warmer, more like an incandescent
Yes.
light than the ones 5 years ago, for example, had a very bright bulb light.
They're dimmable, right?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
color palette has
Okay.
changed.
Right.
But in the next instance, this will be reviewed by the Finance Committee as a financial matter. And we look forward to the report on that. Anything further, Mike? General government, Ross?
Yes. So at our last meeting, we reviewed the ordinance on regulation of hours of operation for businesses, and I believe that was advertised.
No, you're authorizing it to advertise tonight, and then it'll be on, and then we'll put an ad in the paper.
Yes. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to advertise that ordinance 1075 relating to hours of operation of businesses.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of advertising ordinance 1075, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There being no opposition, advertisement is authorized.
Not problems, no.
Okay, it's all right.
Sidebar.
I just thought that I'd run afoul of
Yeah.
subsection 27J3.
It's worrisome when the solicitor says it.
So easy to do. Mary, planning and zoning. Oh, yes, anything else? Yes, sorry.
Sure. I just want to mention, we are going to have our general government meeting on February 17th. That's a Wednesday, not our normal Monday because the President's Day holiday. It'll be at 8:30 in the morning here. And I anticipate that we are going to talk a bit about the aging in place.
Excellent.
so that we can be prepared for the March 7th meeting.
Right.
And also, we will talk about the merchant request on parking. And
Okay. Excellent, thank you.
that's it.
Planning and zoning?
Our committee is going to meet on February 23rd at 7:30 a.m.
Okay. I'm looking for a note here because I wanted to report when we get ultimately to Public Works that Mr. Murphy asked me to say its meeting will be held at its regularly scheduled time this month, but public safety.
Right. I gave the committee report last week. We'll meet this month at the usual time. That's the third Tuesday, February 16th, 7:30 p.m. right here. Couple things on the agenda as of now. One is the parking. So we'll discuss in general terms the merchant's proposal and how that might fit into some other considerations. Also, as you all know, the borough's contract with the borough of Rutledge to provide police services is up the end of this year. We're going to begin discussion of that contract. And lastly, as far as the Fire and Protective Association goes, I would like to, I won't say initiate, but it's sort of the end of the beginning of discussions of what the future might bring, including some of the issues we talked about last week with replacement versus purchase and that sort of thing. So those will be the three things on the agenda.
Winston Churchill said that about the Second World War.
He did. He did.
It's not the beginning, it's not the end, it's whatever.
It's the beginning, it's the end of the beginning.
Whatever.
Yes, so.
And he said it much better, I think.
He did, yes, he did.
Is Public Works, there is no report. Other business before us tonight? Mayor?
Well, we began the meeting with a good talk about volunteerism and people giving back to the borough. I just wanted to reiterate the comments earlier about the Aging Place Task Force, the amount of effort and time that the task members put into the report was kind of staggering. I think you certainly see it from the sheer volume of the report and the things that came up. I had been talking with members of the task force on and off again, and I will meet with them probably the week before our meeting, just to kind of go through some of the issues. So, if you want to use me as a conduit to talk to anybody ahead of the time, you can certainly do that. But just wanted to reinforce what you said before, that there's a lot of really good reading there. Whether or not we choose, or you choose, to take up the recommendations or not, I think is certainly going to be, there's going to be a spirited discussion around that.
Right.
Very interesting things that are part of that.
Anything on that? Thank you. Borough Manager, do you have anything to report?
I do. Thank you. I wanted to point out first a couple things on the manager's report. On the second page, the meetings attended, our Council of Government had visitors at our last meeting from the Delco Planning Department on the solar energy program. There's a kind of a big push starting now, again, with Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission in cooperation with Delaware County Planning Department in cooperation with DVRPC, talking about residential solar. So there's two, we talked about it in that one. I am actually going to a webinar, we can certainly talk about this in planning and zoning, sort of talking about the permitting process for solar, making sure that maybe people aren't over permitting, under permitting. If you want to encourage the installation of residential solar, are you doing the best that you can on that? So I'm doing that on Thursday. And then people have probably seen it. It's been up on the bulletin board. It's been on our website for a while. Again, this is a local push. It's Solarize Greater Media. And it was put together. The woman came, remember, and she talked about that. So that's coming up this Saturday. So it's kind of interesting. There are some relatively new tax breaks, some differences in the way that it's happening. And I think maybe at some point it'll just be turned over to the Environment Committee to see if it's something that council is interested in encouraging residents to do, not seeing it as a council thing. But I do think we have a little bit of responsibility to make sure that our ordinances, both zoning and planning, are up to date, and our codes, building codes are up to date, and with the installation of solar. A lot of it is rooftop, but people are going to be starting to look at just putting solar collectors in parking areas and other things. And I think we want to be ready to know what to tell them when they say, do I need a permit to do that? Because I'm not sure we're quite there yet, and we probably want to know a little bit more. So that's just some stuff that's going on with solar, and again, might get turned over to the committee at some point. The other thing that's sort of a requirement that we have to do is the borough's, a very short report, I promise, on our MS4 system. Under the Clean Water Act, municipalities that have storm sewer systems are required to get general permits, just as if we were a huge industrial plant spewing things into the waterways. We are spewing our road salt and other things that we wash into the creeks. So we have to get a permit. We are going into year 3 of our current permit, which is our second round. And there are various activities that we have to do. One is to let you all know what we're doing. Very important part of the permit is education. And for most of that, we partner with the Chester Ridley Crumb. You've probably heard Lauren once in a while talk about their events. One coming up again, it's on our website. It's a Saturday event, Backyard Solutions for Healthy Streams. This is an annual lecture they have at Penn State Brandywine. There's lots of other events that CRC puts on. We do that spring cleanup every year. That's a chance for people to participate. So that's a big part of the permitting process. For those who've taken a look on the website, we have a lot of links for people who are interested about stormwater management, what they can do on their own property for stormwater management, which is where a lot of the work has to be done. And we have also a little set of phone numbers on there. If you see something in the creek, we really encourage people to let us know, call the office, call 911. The officers will report back to us. And then there's phone numbers for DEP and Fish and Wildlife as well to report things that are going on in the stream. One thing that probably will surprise people is that we actually look at our sewer discharge pipes every year to see if there's flow coming through there when there shouldn't be. It's pretty easy. If it's been 72 hours since it rained and something's flowing into the creek, you probably want to find out what it is rather than just assume that it's nothing. So that's something that we do every single year, again, as part of our permit program. We have 53 outfalls into Crum and Little Crum Creek from the various drains that you see in the street.
How if at all, does this relate to the, it might be said, draconian requirement to be imposed by the Commonwealth on municipalities to deal with issues having to do with stormwater management?
Well, what you're talking about is the fact that right now this is things that we do to help people learn about stormwater management, but pretty soon their DEP is going to want us to quantify what we're doing about stormwater management. We don't know when that's going to happen. We know that we have sediment in the creek and some other items that DEP would like us to reduce, so we'll have to come up with a plan on how we're going to reduce that.
Okay.
And measure it.
And totally separate from this, particularly for the newest members, over time, DEP has been, as part of a 537 plan, is requiring us to take actions to try to minimize infiltration into our sanitary sewer lines. And the indication is that we will be required either to impose an inspection on housing laterals at the time of sale or come up with some other alternative to achieve the same effect. which would be, the realtors are not at all happy about, as you can imagine, that having a lateral sanitary sewer connection, inspection and correction if required at the time a property is sold would be viewed as something of an obstacle to sale, perhaps in some cases. Where is that in the grand order of things? How far away are we from having to have something like that dictated by ordinance?
We haven't heard any updates on that since it first
Yeah.
happened.
It was a big push a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
and since then, it's been kind of quiet.
Okay.
David?
Yes?
I just want to mention, Jane mentioned that CRC, Chester River Farm Watersheds Association, partners with the borough to help the borough on these things. It does so generally. I am a board member of CRC. I'm the corporate secretary for CRC, so
Excellent.
I don't think there's any conflict of
No,
interest
not
at
at
this
all.
point. But they are
You
very...
get it all now.
Yeah.
They're very active.
They're
Yeah,
extremely
excellent.
interested, and they're having meetings in municipalities to work on financing options and various things, so.
Yeah, one of the things that there's been talk about imposing a stormwater management fee to help municipalities manage stormwater. Very few places have done that. Radnor has, and you can go to Radnor's website, and there's a little blurb on there if you go to their search engine and search stormwater management, and they'll tell you, I assume the fee comes on your tax bill. It's based on the amount of impervious cover on your lot, which is assumed. They didn't measure everybody's. I think they took a lot size and assumed how much impervious cover there would be. And people pay a fee, and the township uses that to help reduce stormwater impacts in their municipality. And I do think CRC's been working on that, as well as, again, a lot of education pieces and a lot of chances to do things. They have a great website.
Bob, anything?
Thank you, I don't have anything.
Anybody else have any other business for us tonight? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.